How we feeling? Do I sound good? I know we had problems last night. How we feeling tonight, guys? We happy with that race? Are we unhappy with it? How are we? Why for yes and for no? Are you happy with the finish? I'm very interested to see where we all land on this one. We're going to put a poll up right away. And by the way, the unofficial results are all over the place. NBC has some of the results in. NASCAR.com has not updated anything. I'll say this. I regret right now tweeting with 20 to go. It's good to see the 3 run where it should. Because damn, that was rough. And so we're going to simply have a quick poll here. Fair or foul. And that's just going to be it. No in between on it. I want to be as polarized as possible with this. Fair or foul on that finish from Austin Dillon winning this race by, well, I won't poison the well too awful much, but fair or foul. I do think there'd be more of an outcry from fans, an upset from fans, if it wasn't Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano. I'll just say that. I do think that a lot more people would talk about the fact that Denny Hamlin, from what it looked like, was crashed, basically being right hooked into the wall. But you know, no one's going to say that when it's Denny Hamlin as the one that is basically being shot out of the lead in a win that, honestly, I will say this, he probably deserved. We're going to just start out with talking about the finish on this one. We'll talk about the race recap and all of that in a bit. If we get the full results, because all we know right now officially is first is Austin Dillon and second is Denny Hamlin. I do not expect NASCAR to do anything to Austin Dillon. In fact, I expect this to be in promos for the playoffs in the next couple weeks and during the playoffs and next year. I fully expect NASCAR to promote this. I personally will say this. I think it was a very dirty, ugly move. I think that, yes, driving it in the corner like that on Logano, I think that's pushing it, but I think that can be argued as fair. I think some can argue that. I know a lot of people might not be happy with that, especially since they're not fans of Austin Dillon per se. But I think there is an argument people can make for that. Now, a lot of people were upset at Ty Gibbs for doing something similar to that at Martinsville a couple years back. But, you know, we're kind of, I think, past keeping consistency. The one for me is the Denny Hamlin one. They're just showing it here. I mean, it's clear as day he hooked him up into the wall. Love or hate Denny, to me, it's pretty clear that he did that. And the thing that sucks for me about this and what I don't like about it is that this was actually, in my opinion, a pretty fun race. I thought Goodyear knocked it out of the park pretty well with the tires. I'm going to take a picture really quick of the playoffs, which have been completely shaken up through this, by the way. I should just let you know that now. But I thought that the tire strategy was pretty fun. I thought that the teams basically got the best possible out of it. And I do think that overall, the race up to lap 400 was actually pretty good. I would personally give it probably a 7 or so. Maybe, you know, I'd say a 7. If I were a little more negative, a 6. The ending, I think this is a race that will prove to a lot of people whether or not you judge a race based off the finish. So I want to know in the chat right now what you think about this. Give me 10 out of 10 being the best race ever, being 1992 Hooters 500, being, you know, you name it. Great race. And 1 out of 10 being the Brickyard. Let me know out of 10 what you thought of that race. Overall, I still would give the overall race a 7. If the finish was better, if it was able to run naturally and we didn't have Spinhouse and Preece, because it's always Preece involved in something when it comes to an overtime finish like this, I think I could have even bumped it up to a 7.5 or an 8 if it was like that. I can't. I'm going to say 7. I know a lot of people are bored with strategy races. I personally like them. I like that you have to think during a race. Like, I don't want to have to think about what the points format is. I'm not crazy about the playoffs, and the playoffs caused this. He would never have done this, I think, in the pre-2014 era. Clear as day. I don't think you can argue against that. But I will say that it's difficult sometimes, man. It's difficult as a fan being like, you want to see the underdog win, but there's like a certain way you'd want to see it. I know I'm probably in the unpopular opinion on it. Looking at the poll as we run it right now, over 1,000 votes are in. 63% of you saying foul, but 37%, a good minority of voters on this saying a fair move by Austin Dillon. A fair move in that, in both combined. I'm going to say, if and don't get me wrong, like I see Logano did the same to Kenseth, not crazy about it. I didn't like it at the time, and then that's not even me as like a Logano hater or anything. I just think that there's a line that has been crossed for a long time in NASCAR. And I think the reason I'm not like blowing up like I normally do is that we've kind of reached a point this year where it's just I'm kind of used to these kind of finishes at this point. I'm used to absolute insanity at the end. I'm used to kind of stupid things happening. By the way, NASCAR.com has not updated it, but we do have the unofficial playoff standings right now, so I can read those off to you at least. We can get the rundown on that. We will read super chats at the end of the summary of all this. I'm letting everybody know now and let people know when they come on in here that we are probably not going to have a ticker tonight. Sorry. I'll read off whatever results we end up getting from this, but let's go over the playoffs right now. Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Hamlin, Byron, Blaney, Reddick, Cindric, Elliott, Logano, Suarez, Keselowski, Bowman, and Austin Dillon, who came in here 32nd in points. 32nd in points for Austin Dillon. He is now a member of the NASCAR playoffs with 3 races left. And this is your bubble battle. And it has gotten a lot closer because of this win and because of some good runs from certain drivers and some not so good runs from others. Martin Truex Jr. is 14th on the grid right now, plus 78 over 17th. 15th, Ty Gibbs, now plus 19. I'm going to tell you this, man. I think it's blown wide open. Bubba Wallace, plus 3. Last man in right now is Bubba Wallace. After that, 17th, minus 3, Chris Buescher. And I don't think any of us saw this going into the season. Ross Chastain, 18th now on the grid. Not even the first one out. Still tied, though, with Chris Buescher. 3 positions out. Make sure that... are we still good? Okay, we're good on my end. It went off on a different end, but let me know. Are we still good? Just give me a Y for yes if we're still good. I don't know why my end was wonky. Where is KB? 20th, minus 122. Kyle Busch, way back there. Okay, we're still good. Okay. Weird wonky stuff on my end, but who cares? We're still live. By the way, NWP's on my channel this week, and I will be talking a lot about this, and it's going to be a lot of fun for sure. Looks like I'm going to put the unofficial results up right now, actually. I changed my mind. We'll put the unofficial ticker up right now. It's bound to change. Don't take, I will put unofficial on the board. Here's what we got for the post-race results. And let me know. I probably spelled somebody's name wrong. But I'm not crazy about that move. I can't be. I liked seeing the 3-car run up front. I think that before that caution came out, this was the run of Austin Dillon's career. This was like 2020 Darlington if he had pulled off the upset. I will admit, I wanted to see Austin Dillon win this race, and then he did that, and I'm like, ugh. And the fact that he ain't gonna admit to anything. He's not gonna say he purposely did it. It'll be like, they asked Farrer or whatever, and he's like, I don't know. And it's like, come on, man. You got away with it. And I'll say this, like a lot of people I know were kind of upset with Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano not going more mad. Logano definitely the more vocally upset in those interviews. They're gonna get back at him. Drivers have long memories, and they will get back at him for that. We're going to end this poll. Almost 1,600 votes on this one. Over 1,700 of you guys watching. I appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, at this point, I know a lot. We've crossed the line a long time ago, I think is for me the thing we need to realize. And I am never really going to be too happy with that kind of move. There's always the exceptions here or there where I'll be a hypocrite, but this is NASCAR now. NASCAR has made and designed it so that as a driver, you have to do anything possible. And you know what? I will say this too. Austin Dillon did what any driver in the game, I will say, should. Again, don't blame the player, blame the game. And some of you guys said that right. And I think that he did what any driver should do with any rules. Put NASCAR on the spot. Is NASCAR going to take a win away from you if you drive really dirty? You right hook somebody into the wall? If you end up winning, they're probably not, because they got the storyline. I guarantee you, if Austin Dillon wins that race, they probably take his position away or they fine him or whatever. They're not going to do that because Austin Dillon won this race, made a huge storyline, and now we have a big talking point for the next 3 weeks, and it is really set up NASCAR for its stretch run to the playoffs and into it really well. And you know what? NASCAR's back, baby. We're back. We already got controversy on the first race back. What more do any of us expect, and what more what more can you really, ask at this point? Richmond became the action track again this year for controversy in a funny way. Again, I will fully say I do not support or condone that, but at this point I'm not surprised by it either. So, I think it's my long-winded take on this. But I would be very surprised if Austin Dillon makes it out of Bristol without being put in the wall by Denny Hamlin or certainly by Joey Logano. I'm going to be interested to see if Joey Logano walks back his comments this week on his show too. I have a feeling it's going to be absolutely wild. I'll say this though. Say what you want about Joey Logano. He raced the 3 clean. He raced the 3 really, really damn clean on that final restart for Joey Logano standards especially. And that's kind of what he got out of it, And that's, I think, what a lot of drivers are going to end up getting out of racing like that at this point. Whether you like it or not, this is the way it's set up. By the way, we're almost at 2,000 live viewers. I might just amend the rule because this is our most watched show ever. So maybe Wednesday, maybe tonight, I'll bring the dog on stream. I don't know. I kind of promised you guys at 2,000, but I can be lenient. And you know what? There's still an entire race to talk about outside of this. I still think this was a pretty damn fun race. I don't, it's going to take away from it. The finish is, but this race was actually really good. And it's kind of sad that this week, when it's rumored that Richmond is pretty much going to lose one of their dates because of the Mexico City race, they're probably going to lose the spring race. And they didn't have the greatest race then, that they finally figure something out to make it really fun. And we end up having, it be too late. We end up having a finish completely overshadow it. I think NASCAR and I think Goodyear, again, credit to Goodyear on making any interest in this race tonight. I think they nailed it with the tires. I think that I don't think the option should be set. We're going to kind of go point by point before we go through the rundown here. I don't think the options should be set as the complete, only tire, because I think you're just going to see similar to what we had before, just more fall off through the run. And I think you'll see a little bit of saving. I like the idea of, maybe, 6 sets on the primes like we had tonight, and then 2 on the options, because I think what it does is not only does it make the driver have to save their stuff, but it also makes the crew chiefs have to call it right, the race right. If this race goes green, we very well, depending on when the pitting would have been done or how it would have went either way when it came to strategy, we really could have seen Daniel Suarez go from a lap down to winning this race in the last 50 or so laps, which, again, should not be discounted. This was probably one of the most interesting short track races outside of the absolutely crazy, bonkers, and fun Bristol race in spring we saw. This was one of the most fun races I think we've seen on a short track since the Gen 6 car, which raced really well at them, and that shouldn't be lost in this. I want to see them test the options for sure at Martinsville. Martinsville, one, it is too important historically as a racetrack to have such terrible racing as it has had in the next gen era. Two, it's way too important where the season is right now to have bad racing. It needs to have really good racing to decide the championship. You put it there for a reason, and it was perfectly put there with the Gen 6. You need to replicate that with the current car. And if you are able to translate this to an Iowa, to a Martinsville, maybe Bristol if it all works out, maybe just transfer this in general across the series so you have more of that tire wear issue for drivers and teams to work with, I really think that they could be onto something. Now, this is not the only fix either. NASCAR needs to keep working on the cars. They need to keep working on the cars. They need to make sure that these cars can actually race, and that Goodyear doesn't have to reach into a complete bag of tricks to make a halfway decent race. It has to be done. That is on NASCAR. The job is not finished. Gonna go full Kobe on this one. Job's not done. Job's not finished here. They need to improve the cars as well on these shorter tracks. Another track I could add into that is Dover. Needs to be improved. Aero should not be this much of an issue at Richmond. We saw it tonight where some really good cars would get stuck in the back on better tires, and it still was difficult for them to get by unless there was a big differential in tires. So NASCAR needs to do their part to fix this. This cannot be the only fix. It's a huge fix. I'll say it's a huge piece of the fix, but it cannot be the only thing that NASCAR has to fix it. They need to hold up their end of the bargain, and I think the teams would tell you that. I hope NASCAR would tell you that, and Goodyear, I assure you, would tell you that, because there's only so much that they can do at this point. And by the way, we're well over 2K. I appreciate all of you guys coming in. We'll look at the Super Chats again once we get through a very extended talk about the race itself. I did promise you guys that I'd bring the dog on. So I'll do that. But let's talk a bit about the race itself, because again, I think there was a good amount to talk about. I'm fired up, but I still think there are more positives out of this night than negatives. The negative was glaringly obvious for many fans. And even so, there's still, like we saw in the poll, a good amount of fans who did not see the negative in it, who actually liked it. And to that, you know what? I'm happy for you. We can disagree. We're talking about racing. We ain't talking about something that's like, the end all be all the world. So if you guys have fun with it, good on you. But I'm going to talk about the race. Just texting now so I can see if the dog can get brought in. I don't want to leave the stream. Staring at an empty chair is boring. But I think, again, I'm trying to stay positive. A lot of positive thoughts too. Still some negative stuff. We will get the dog. I promise. The dog will be in here. But let's talk a bit about the race itself while we wait. I don't know. He could be outside taking a dump for all I know. Like I lock in here and it's just, me talking to you guys into the void. And I get people being negative about this race. Go off, man. Go off. I get it. And we will, and we'll definitely talk about a lot of that. I see the super chats. You guys are bringing up some really good points, and I promise we will get into that. I'm thinking another one. I'll tell you what. If we don't get the dog in here soon, I will get up. You'll stare at the empty chair for 30 seconds, but we'll get the pup in. But let's talk about the race itself while we wait here. First off, we got Denny Hamlin starting on the pole, nearly won from the pole in this race. And early on, it was a pretty normal Richmond race. It wasn't all that special. can't really say too much. I mean, I don't have very many notes about the first stage. There was some movement through the pack. I think the racing definitely was better than some previous Richmond races. It was way better than the Easter one. And I think we have the dog coming in. Come in. Hey, come here, buddy. All right. I gotta make sure I do this right. 2,200 of you guys watching. Hey, Rhett, come here. Come on. Come here. I might have to. There's the pup. There's Rhett. Rhett Butler. If any of you guys know, you know. What are you doing, buddy? Say hi to everybody. He's like, oh, I want to go and dig in the garbage again. He didn't do that today. So there is the dog. I will bring the dog on more at different times. But there is the pupper. Thank you, by the way. There is the pup. Now everyone will file out because you're not here for racing. You're here for a dog. I don't blame you. He is a poodle. His name is Rhett Butler. Rhett. Now when we're on NWP this Wednesday, which again is on my channel, old John Ramos is going to be on. Y'all are going to be asking for Rhett. 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 I'll put it in the chat for you. There you go. He can be with Dude as the mascot of the channel. I'm not doing full animal show and tell tonight. We're gonna keep it at one. I will say one animal limit. We don't want to scare all the animals tonight. But let's get back to the racing part of this. I'm sure some of you are still here to talk about racing. So again, the first stage, there was some movement. There's good battle for the lucky dog, which would end up being really instrumental in stage 2 being good, between Corey LaJoie and Michael McDowell. And to the surprise of many or none, Corey LaJoie lost that to Michael McDowell, who would end up getting prime tires in the next stage. But stage 1 ended with Bell, Hamlin, Truex, Logano, Bubba Wallace, Elliott, Dillon. Again, Dillon ran top 10 to top 5 all night. Got better as the night went on. Don't take that away from him if you're upset with the finish. I get it, but he ran pretty damn well tonight. It was probably a career run. Buescher in 8th. 9th is Reddick and Barry. So here's where we get into the fun part. Stage 2 to me is where we really saw the identity of this race come on in. We get in the pits. First off, this is where the craziness starts. We get the 20 nailing the 43 and had contact with Noah Gragson. Didn't hurt his race too much. He ended up doing that more himself. We'll talk about in a bit. But when we get it restarted, it's pretty even between the 11 and the 20 before Hamlin gets the lead. But in the back, from 16th position, Daniel Suarez took the option tires, or say, not the prime tires. Even though prime would be a lot cooler name for it, even though whatever. Nitpicks. And from the tail of the field, Michael McDowell would take the options. McDowell would be able to pass every lapped car and every lead lap car up to the 7th position before the pit cycle started. Daniel Suarez went up there and took the lead, took a about 4-second lead, and I think led the most laps tonight. If he didn't lead the most laps, he was up there. Why for yes, N for no? How many of you were expecting Daniel Suarez and Austin Dillon to possibly have the 2 best cars tonight? I know the 20 and the 11 were probably better than the 99, but how many of you were expecting that? Because to me, that was wild. Absolutely nuts. I'm seeing in the chat, everyone says no. No. More no. I see some whys. I don't think that you guys, I don't know how many of you guys saying yes were actually expecting that. We were probably a little bit better of a strategy and a Ricky Spinhouse-less move away from a possible multiple win season from Daniel Suarez, which just absolutely baffles me. Meanwhile, Ross Chastain is sitting outside the playoffs without a win so far this year. It's a weird year. I'm kind of embracing the chaos as much as I'm not crazy about it either. It's weird. It's a very just weird year. Anyway, we get the pit cycle started. And then we have a mixed tire strategy on this one. The JGR cars and many of the guys that are running up front are saving their option tires for later in the race. They saw how it went when Suarez and McDowell ran up there. Others are seeing, that they got to get back on the lead lap with this one. And with that, we see, Bell end up cycling back to take the lead. We see some pit problems from the 19. But Daniel Suarez is the one that cycles back to the lead, ends up winning the stage over Bell, Hamlin, Logano, Dillon in 5th now, moving up. McDowell in 6th, 7th, Reddick, then Bubba, Hocevar, and Elliott. And from there, we go to the final stage. Again, I thought a very interesting night, despite what I personally was not a fan of for a finish. But I'm seeing a lot of people that are like, who cares? And I think we'll talk again about the Austin Dillon deal. There's a lot of you guys that have come in here that want to talk more about it. We definitely will talk more about it. I kind of went in my open rant at the start. We'll talk more about it in a little bit. We're definitely going to talk about that, and we'll read those super chats at the end of the what do you call it? The summary here. Let's get to the final stage so we can talk more about what I know a lot of you guys are here to talk about. Don't want to waste your time. Trust me. For a controversial race, we're actually being pretty efficient tonight. And by the way, because I know more than likely the finishing order is not exactly how it is up there. It's why it's unofficial. And I'm not going to sit on Twitter and make you guys watch me scroll on a phone because that's boring as hell too. I will update as the pin comment once this stream is up and settled. The full official results. That way for anybody coming here that wants to know, you can. Right now, this is just the best we have based on NASCAR.com. Let's get to the final stage here with about 160 to go. It's the 99-20 up front. Bell clears. He is the one to beat. Christopher Bell is the one to beat. And Christopher Bell, in a large way to me, is the reason that we had this crazy finish, this controversial finish. It's all from him, and we are getting to that. Trust me. The 99 at this point drops like a rock. He's the only one on the normal tires. Everybody else started the stage on options, which I think was the smart move. You want to get the most ground possible on those guys who can't, as well as you just want to also stay the same strategy as all those guys up front. The big thing here, and this was originally the big storyline coming on into this stream, with 150 to go, we get word that there is no power. Engine is depleting, gone, smoking. Another Toyota going behind the wall. This time it is Martin Truex Jr., the 19 car, expires with 150 laps left in this race, finishes dead last. Martin Truex Jr. finishing 37th. In his final start at Richmond, which was one of, if not his best track in his second half of the career, at least. Post MWR career, I will say. And a lot of people, myself included, thought that this could be his shot at the last win. We saw Kevin Harvick at the last win at Richmond, and Martin Truex Jr. in his career has been better at Richmond, I would say, at least in the last decade or so, than Harvick, but not meant to be. He, again, still looking for that first win of the year, maybe for that final win of his career, which is going to be an interesting story to watch throughout the end of this season. But as it runs now, I will let you know again, he is 78 points to the good in 14th on the cut line. He would still need probably 2 bad races to fall out. He is over a race ahead of Ty Gibbs as they run right now, 60 points at the moment ahead of 15th. So he'd probably need 2 more bad races to fall out, or 3 victors that are outside of the current top 16. So, I mean, Chris Buescher, he could win at Michigan. Been pretty damn good there. Ross Chastain's good at Darlington. Bubba Wallace is good at Daytona, though he's still in the top 16, so he wouldn't fall out, but that's another spot he'd fall down. Chase Briscoe, he could pop off at any point. Kyle Busch, maybe, but it's rough, and there's a bunch of others down there. But a very rough night for Martin Truex Jr. in his final start at Richmond. We get to a pit cycle with 120 to go. This is the turning point. To me, this is the reason why, regardless of a green-white checker or not, we got the finish we got tonight. We start the pit cycle with 120 left, and Christopher Bell grabs defeat from the jaws of victory, speeds on pit road, absolutely throws away a race that he had, I will say, in the bag. He ends up speeding. Bowman also speeding, though he was a non-factor tonight. Slow stop for the 12, but ended up working pretty well for him. Denny Hamlin would cycle out with the lead, and it was pretty chill for the most part. Austin Dillon at this point, a top 3 guy racing up there with Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano before 69 nice laps to go. We have a pit stop again, more pit cycles. A lot of people taking the yellow tires. They're saving the red tires for the possibility of what we ended up having, a late race restart. But with 29 to go, Austin Dillon ends up catching and clearing Denny Hamlin for the race lead. And it's looking like if he is able to stay ahead of Denny, if he's able to navigate lap traffic, he should win. Daniel Suarez, though, charging up through there, and it all changes with a lap and a half to go, going through 1 and 2. The 47, the 41 wreck brings out a caution, changes the whole complexity, the entire mindset I think that fans had on this race. You got, I would say, Stenhouse just overcooking it in the corner. I know Priest went down, but at the same time, you kind of got to arc in the corner, and I don't think you're expecting the guy underneath you to just kind of go straight. I'm personally putting the majority of that on Stenhouse. But again, it always has to be the 41 involved in a late race caution that makes complete and utter chaos and controversy in a NASCAR race. We get to the overtime restart here. It's the 3 and the 22 up at the front of this pack. Logano, again, pretty cleanly, clears the 3, stays ahead of him, and coming down to 3 and 4 on the final lap, Austin Dillon sends it into the corner, nails the 22, ends up spinning him up into the wall. He goes up the track. Denny Hamlin goes down low to pass him. Looks like it could be a side-by-side race for the lead. Dillon goes down into his right rear, sends him up into the safer barriers, wins the race under caution, by the way, so no margin of victory in this one. It was actually a caution thrown right before he hit the line. At least that's what it looked like. Austin Dillon wins an insanely controversial race. Personally, if you're going to be consistent, and I get it's not as fast a track as Charlotte, I get it's not as fast a track as Las Vegas, similar to the Elliott situation with Denny Hamlin at Charlotte and the Bubba Wallace, Kyle Larson situation at Las Vegas. But to me, if I'm judge, jury, and executioner on this, I'd penalize Dillon. I think that NASCAR needs to be pretty hard standing on the stance that you have to race. There needs to be some level of clean racing to this. This cannot just be the wild, wild west, because not only is this throwing a huge wrench, and I would say a wrench that probably will not even compete for the championship. Austin Dillon by no means does tonight just prove that all of a sudden Austin Dillon's going to compete for the championship and win this thing. He's not. He is almost certainly a first round exit unless he has like a win at Atlanta or everything goes right at Atlanta and Watkins Glen and Bristol. But to me, it's just a wasted playoff spot. Like I'm looking at the guys here. Martin Truex Jr., Ty Gibbs, Bubba Wallace currently in. I think all of them could compete better than Austin Dillon. Chris Buescher or Ross Chastain, one of those two is more than likely going to miss this postseason, or Ty Gibbs. And I'll say the 3 of them I think have been a lot better than where they are in points. And unfortunately, the 3 car is going to be in there because we have a win and year in system where now somebody who is 32nd, I got to repeat again, 32nd in points coming in here. Maybe this is like the high of the end of the race coming down for me because now it's like sort of setting in. A guy is 32nd on the grid. Oh, by the way, we already had the dog in here. I can't have him on the whole time. It's a very cramped setup. Sorry. Just wanted to say that now. But you can go back and see the dog. But yeah, a guy is 32nd coming in here who under this system 2-3 years ago, give or take, depending on when NASCAR changed the rule, maybe it was a year ago. I don't keep track, honestly. Would not have qualified. He would not have qualified like 3 years ago based on the top 30 rule. And now NASCAR has changed that. Now, people get on Corey LaJoie for how he's been driving, and I'm pretty sure Corey LaJoie was ahead or if not right near Austin Dillon. Absolutely rough night when it comes to the finish. Because again, like we talked about it, I had a lot of fun watching this race. It is going to completely overshadow this race. The finish is. But I mean, Chase Briscoe, I think he'd compete more than Austin Dillon. Kyle Busch, about even, because Kyle Busch has been just absolutely awful so far this year. But you name it. Outside of like Harrison Burton, Corey LaJoie, Justin Haley even, because Haley has his pop-ups, but he also runs like a Rick Ware driver probably should in a lot of races. Austin Dillon is a 32nd, probably a 30th to 32nd place driver this year. And he will be competing for a championship. So I'm not a fan of that, man. And you know what? I will say I do find it really funny. Oh, Joey was called to the hauler. Really? Is it probably because he cussed on TV? Is that true? I'm trying not to like scroll on Twitter as this thing goes. But let's see. Austin Dillon's team radio, he had said this. I don't care how you do it before you hit Joey Logano, or like somebody had said this on Austin Dillon's team radio. I don't care how you do it. Wreck him. So the I don't care how you do it was right before Joey Logano. The wreck him was right before Denny Hamlin. Just saying, for anybody asking if there was intent or trying to plead that, the fifth on this one, the team radio at least very much was encouraging this. And then right after that, Pop is proud of you from Richard Childress over the team radio. That to me is the smoking gun. But again, I'm just telling you now. I don't care how you do it, or what way you would want it to be governed. I don't see NASCAR changing the outcome of a race when the winner did something. If it's on lap 250 of a 400 lap race or something like that, like Chase Elliott did. Yeah, okay, I see them doing a penalty or whatever. I do not see, for all those asking like, hey, like we need a penalty, DQ them, all that. I would be so surprised if NASCAR did that. I mean, that would probably be the most surprising move in recent NASCAR memory if they did that. I personally am for that, but I know a lot of people aren't. I don't think they're going to do anything. I think this race is in the record books, unless he like fails tech, and that's how they give the win to Denny Hamlin. But I don't see them doing anything. I see NASCAR laughing their way to the bank, having free promo for the playoffs, and just putting it all out there. But again, Denny Hamlin right hooked into the wall, right rear. It's kind of funny how that works out. But I appreciate you guys coming on in here. Let's get to the super chats and finish this off. Again, no official results, at least that I can tell. I'm not going to scroll on Twitter all night. There's a few things people have tagged me in, but I'm not gonna waste your time scrolling on Twitter. I want to see these hefty responses that you guys have given me here. Blake for the 5 says, I'm a Dillon fan, not a fan of how he did that, but that was crazy, and I'm glad he won. Would have much rather it been without the restart. I'm with you. If it had just been next lap and a half, they had raced to the finish, I think I would have been fine with it too. Michael Kelly Gilliam, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. Antar Das for the 2 here says, wasted playoff spot, 32nd in points, out in the first round. Yeah. If he makes it past the first round, I will be more surprised, I think, than... I can't say I'll be more surprised than if they took the win away, but I'd be pretty damn surprised. Timmy Wolf, thank you for being a member for 16 months. Giggles knows how it feels now. See, that's the thing. Logano has for so long been that guy that skirted that line that it's kind of like the boy who cried wolf. There's only so many times before people just stop feeling sorry for you. And for you Logano fans, that's the unfortunate truth you're going to have to deal with. By the way, subscribe to the channel if you're new. We do this after every race, even the boring ones. I promise. I got a lot coming up this week. We'll talk about in a bit. Alex for the 2 here says, bum-ass Dylan. Man, tell me how you really feel. Bobby Blair for the 5 says, I don't know what to say. Happy for Dylan, but that was a chicken shit move. But he had the race won before the caution. I have mixed feelings. I get it. I get having mixed feelings about it. But I think the move itself, I personally have to disagree wholeheartedly with. He should have probably won. Team, I think, had the best executed strategy of regulation. But hey, once again, we're going to be talking about NASCAR playoff controversy and NASCAR overtime controversy. So it's the name of the game this year, man. M. Martin fan for the 5. Hard to be mad at Dylan, and I don't like him, he says, but both of those drivers have done the same thing in the past. Again, I get people being upset, and especially or not being as upset, and especially with Logano being taken out. He's done questionable things for sure, but I will say I don't care who it's done to, and maybe this is me trying to be more consistent with it. But you have to call it the same way. Balls and strikes have to be the same no matter how it is. That's just me, though. Will England for the 6-month member chat here says, is the action track back? Kinda. I mean, again, I thought pretty decent racing overall. Fred Dog for the 10. This is a race where people are going to remember how good the last 2 laps were. Good being in quotation marks. They really weren't. And forget how boring the other 400 or so were. Just another crappy short track race. I don't think so. I disagree. I think it's the other way around. I think that the majority of the race, especially once stage 2 started, they got more tire strategy going. I thought it was actually a pretty fun race. I get a lot of people are going to disagree with me on that. I can check the we have the poll in the community tab right now, by the way. Wow. This is going to be an interesting Wednesday night when we look at that on NWP on my channel. Antar Das with the 2. 3 deserve to win, but not be in the playoffs. I agree. He deserved to win the individual race. He did not deserve to race with the best of the best in the playoffs when he is, other than one race, not been the best of the best. Garrett Bookie for the 5. Classic Joey, rules for thee, but not for me. Logano. Let's not forget when he dumped Byron the moment he got to him at Darlington 2 years back. So that's the thing. I think I'll go back to say the Logano one, I can at least, I can forgive the Logano one. And it's not because it's Joey Logano, but it's because we've seen a lot of drivers who will drive it in really deep. They bump the back of the car, ends up sending the driver. It's not crazy. I know drivers personally don't like it no matter who they are. I can understand that one. The Denny Hamlin one to me is where it went too far. That's taking another bite at the apple on that one. I don't think was the right move personally, but he got the win. Fred Dog for the 5 says, also, can you spam the cushion button? You can spam the cushion button all you want. Truex and S in serious trouble even if he gets in. Yeah. I'll tell you this, overall, branching off the Truex point, Toyota's got a bit of an issue going on, especially Joe Gibbs Racing. The fact that we've had the issues with Ty Gibbs the last couple of weeks, now we have Martin Truex Jr. with these kind of issues. It's going to be, something they need to fix quick, because that could cost one of their drivers a real shot this year. Because I personally think they have 3 drivers who at their peaks can be good enough to compete in the round of 8 final 4 with the 19, the 20, and the 11. I think the 54 is about a year or 2 away, but that's going to cost them. I think that the 11 and the 20 for sure. The 19 to me is one of those ones that's on the edge, but the playoffs do line up pretty good for him if he's able to get that far. Antar Das for the 2. You don't right hook someone no matter what. That's where I stand on it. That's definitely, I think, where I stand on it. Apologies to you guys. Left a lot of super chats. There's a lot to talk about tonight. It's going to be a late night, so buckle up. All right, I get it if you don't buckle up. Paradox for the 5. There is no way that should be okay by any means. This was a step too far, and that's from a Logano fan. No one say Logano deserved that. And that one to me is the borderline one. The Hamlin one I think is personally too far. Ross Crashtain for the 3. Nice. I see what you did there. Saying foul but fun. Dale's spirit back in the 3 car. Look back at the Bristol deal with Terry Labonte. Kind of similar. Cody for the 5. Saying the final lap of this race was the most searing indictment of the current playoff system. An utter embarrassment for the sport. Hey, I know a lot of people know where I stand on it. I'm not crazy about the playoffs. I agree. But it's the game we've been set. CBB for the 5 here says Coach Joe needs to unleash some Old Testament levels of rage on whoever keeps giving him lemon engines. It's only JJR. 2311 and Legacy seem fine. Well, Legacy doesn't really run well, but 2311 seems fine. 2311's actually been really damn impressive the more the season goes on, similar to other years. They just got to start the years better for that 23 team. Spirit for the 5, Rubbins Racing. Even if Dale Earnhardt did that, they would praise him to the heavens. Go back and watch the way the crowd reacted at Bristol after, I believe, 99 after he took out Terry Labonte. They did not praise him to the heavens. They had a finger sticking up, but it wasn't, and it was to the heavens, but I don't think it was for him to go to the heavens on that one. Alex, thank you for the 13-month member chat. No comment there. Rock's reviews and reactions for the 2. As a Truex fan, I'm just baffled at his bad luck. It's got to break eventually, and for your guys' sake and for Truex's sake, I really do hope it does. Marky Mark for the 5. Austin Dillon's phone will have 2 unread messages from Ace Moneymaker. I like that. Good reference. Good reference on that one. T. Griffin for the 10. Dillon blew the restart. Looked like Logano was the control car, but looked like Dillon after that said, I'm winning and wrecking Logano and anyone who tries to pass me. Joey was fine. Hamlin was bad. Again, the Joey one to me was borderline. The Hamlin one for me was way too far over the line. Mittens the Racing Cat for the 2 says, bro just wrecked 2 cars to be first rounded. Pretty much. Hunter for the 5 here. Unpopular opinion. Dillon did to Logano what Logano did to Kenseth at Kansas in 2015. Therefore, Joey got a taste of his own medicine. I agree. I mean, to a degree. The Joey was closer to Kenseth, but it was a faster track, so it's not like he had to be as far back to have the same effect. That's the thing. I understand why a lot of you don't have sympathy for Joey Logano, especially on this one. I get it. Vikings all day 005, like the name. Skull, buddy. To quote Buddy Baker, when Mayfield rattled Dale Sr.'s cage at Pocono in 2000, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Both Denny and Joey have been guilty of wrecking people for wins in the past. I can't remember the ones necessarily that Denny did, but I know there's probably have been, but Joey's I think Slapshoe said it best, where it's like Joey Logano has always been that driver that's just been like, he's always stayed on the razor edge of dirty or not, and live by the sword and die by the sword. Antar Das for the 2. Good race, 7.9, but the finish soured it. I'm kind of on the same boat there. I gave it a 7 solid, but the finish for me is why it couldn't be elevated any higher. Shane for the 10 here. Disclaimer. Fan of no one involved. Hamlin wanted to drive up and cut Logano off and hooked himself. If he stayed low, he'd have been fine. Logano gives this stuff out regularly, and he got it back. Yeah, I have a feeling this is going to be a conversation all the way into Michigan for the rest of it. Because I can see where people, especially on the Logano part, I can see where people are coming from a ton. Alex for the 50. If Logano can do it to Kenseth, Dillon can do it to Logano, which is again why I'm definitely a lot more lax on the Logano one. As much as some people are saying that you're overboard. Well, he said meant to say Dillon there. Disclaimer. Let's see. Hamlin wanted to drive up and cut off Dillon and hooked himself. Logano gives. Where did you mean to say Dillon? I can't see where he meant to say Dillon, but yeah, I mean, this is gonna be a storyline all the way to Michigan, and I'm gonna enjoy every second of it as much as I wasn't crazy about the move itself. Brandon for the Canadian 7 says Austin Dillon pulled off and Earnhardt like it's 99. He partied like it was 1999. Bobby Blair for the 5. I hate overtime. It puts drivers in positions to pull this crap. I'm in the same book, but I think we've been outvoted for sure on that one. Playoffs, I think we still, I don't know if we're in the majority, but plurality maybe. But the overtime side of it, fans have spoken very much. Paradox says shouldn't. I mean shouldn't. Okay. Silas for the 5-month member chat here says, I would like to say that the Cup qualifying sucks. Agreed. It is. Why can't we? Okay, if qualifying's not going to be on TV, what's the point of this convoluted system? Just have them run out there, run 2 laps, and cause it like that. Yeah, I mean, you're basically still wasting. If you're wanting to save money, like you're having them waste more time on tires, fuel, all that. Like, it seems like more and more we're going to see qualifying be moved from TV to apps or not shown like in the lower series. But again, maybe I'm just an old head with it, and the times have passed me by. Vinny for the 5 here says, the Logano contact was over the line, but the Hamlin contact didn't look on purpose, especially from the aerial view. I'll definitely have to go back and look at it. Remember, these are first reactions from me. I don't want to go and look at my phone the entire time, but I will look at it more, I promise. Maybe I'm missing something. Sly Supersonic for the 1231 here says, Dylan did do them dirty, but I have no sympathy for Hamlin or Logano. As a Kenseth, Larson, and Elliott fan, I will never forgive Logano or Hamlin for the horrible things they've done in the past. Yeah. Again, I kind of knew this was coming. And anyone who said you didn't know this was coming, that a lot of fans wouldn't have sympathy for the 22 or the 11, like, you're completely lying to yourself. Thomas for the 10 here says, was Dale driving the 3 car tonight? Not Austin. Yeah, it was really cool seeing, again, the 3 run how the 3 should. That's a big reason I don't want Austin Dillon to be in the 3, is because to me it's a mockery of the font especially, and the legacy of the 3. But hey, you know what? If he can actually run well and not have a crazy finish like that, actually just legit win races, I'd be more for it. Andrew for the 2 here says, thinking about what Emp said on NWP about overtime. Him and I are in the same boat. We just came there with a different reaction and path too. Ken C42 for the 2 didn't leave a comment, but I appreciate it. Eric W for the 10-month member chat says, I'd rather see a win via skills and not via bump and run. I'm okay with bump and run as long as it's not taken overboard, but I agree too on both pretty much. Lobster Red for the 5. I'm not mad at Dylan winning. I'm mad at NASCAR for the fact that he will be in the playoffs after being 32nd in points. Unprofessional. Yeah, he should. I will fully say he should not be in the playoffs. This is a wasted spot, and it's just going to make those 3 weeks a lot less compelling. And I swear to God, like, if Rick Allen screaming like, Austin Dillon, he's 4 points out, he needs 4 spots. It's like, nobody cares. Like, unless he's like eliminating someone who actually would compete, like, I don't give a damn if he makes it. He's not going to make it further than the round of 12 unless stupidity happens, which is possible because this has been a weird ass season. But Gooby's Fun Zone for the 5 says they are going to say it was a racing incident and they will promote it. Yeah. They're going to promote it. No matter what happened, no matter who had what intent, this will be promotion. Isaac for the 2. Dylan just wanted to rattle Logano's cage. Good callback. Michael Kelly Gilliam for the 17th month member chat. Hit that like button. That's right. Hit that like button, y'all. I see that there's still almost 2,000 of you guys in here. So be sure to like up the stream. Subscribe if you are new. And hopefully, Michigan, I'm actually excited for because the racing's been a lot better. Maybe not the Xfinity package because that'll be Super Speedway package, but I'm excited for the Cup race. I think it's been pretty good the last 2 years. Fred Dog for the 5 here says, weekly press F for Kyle Busch. Can't even say he's the better teammate at RCR now. That has to be a massive blow to his humongous ego. Yeah, F's in the chat for Kyle Busch. I'll start us out on that one. Zach for the 2. Damn it, Isaac, you stole my line. I know a lot of people were probably going for that line. CBB for the 5-month member chat says, hot take, if AD pulled that on the 5 or the 9, pole would be 90% foul. Agreed. But at the same time, I think if he pulled that on just like randos in the field, like if he pulled that on like Chase Briscoe and John Hunter Nemechek, I think we'd have a similar reaction to the popular drivers having that happen to it. These are, if you're somebody who wants Dylan to be held accountable in any way, these are the worst two drivers that he could have done that to for your case, because nobody is going to be really on your side or be like energized to be like, yeah, defend Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano. Dan Miller for the 2 here says the 2 dirtiest drivers crying they got used up. That further proves my point. Antar Das for the 2 says, I can hate the player and the game. Fair enough. I mean, I get it. Eric W, another 5 gifted memberships. I appreciate that. I almost said member chats. Ken C42 for the $4.99 says, why the hell did Suarez and Blaney pit with 3 to go? They would have been in front on reds. Well, those reds still were worn out at the end. I want to say 40 or 50, give or take, laps. So they still would have been at a huge disadvantage. That was probably the only option they really had left. Thomas, for the 5 here, says, I was looking for Logano to disrupt Dylan's burnout like Hamlin, Bowman, Martinsville. I would have been all for watching that. That would have been really fun. Chris, for the 5, I can't be mad at Dylan. You guys, you pay the guy to win. Logano and Hamlin have done the same thing multiple times. At least Hamlin owned it. Don't get me wrong. I still think Denny and Joey are going to get back at him one way or another. Bobby Blair for the 5 here says NASCAR puts drivers in this position with the playoff system. Win at all costs. NASCAR set the precedent. I'm not saying it's right. Yeah. NASCAR set the precedent. If you're going to be upset at anyone, I think be upset at NASCAR for setting this. Because that's completely true in my opinion. Alex for the 10 here says chicken shit for real. Back to Mickey Mouse wins again. Logano is dirty, but that was disgusting. Suarez close with strategy. Hashtag amigo. Logano calling out Dylan for praising God and calling out his baby. Okay, yeah, that was like, to me, I'm like, damn, Joey, like, you're not gonna win any fans with that one. You heard them all booing. Austin Blansett for the 5 here says people are gonna hate on Austin Dillon for what he did, but it's not his fault. It's NASCAR's fault for having a system that encourages this. Agreed. I think a lot of us are on the same page with this. Even if you're for and promote the playoff format, I think a lot of people are on the same page with this. Scott McNew for the 5 here says Austin deserved to win the race, but not like that. On another note, hopefully they'll have the option tire for Martinsville. I really hope so. I hope it transfers over, because it could make Martinsville a whole lot more fun. I want to remind a lot of you that before the final caution came out at Martinsville in the spring, there was no pass on track for position in the final 42, I think, laps of that race. So anything that can be done to help my favorite track have better racing, I am all for. VA Sensations for the 5, wonder if the money difference for 16th versus 32nd at the end of the year. I have a feeling it'll be a lot of money, because I believe all of the playoff guys get a bonus for that from NASCAR. That's been a thing since 2004. Steve-O for the 10. So are we back to boys have at it, or just have at it for the win? Carson was penalized for a right rear hook. Happy the 3 is back in victory lane, but it was questionable. That saved the second Richmond date. I don't think it did. Based on all rumors and I know a lot of things I've heard, I'm pretty sure if the Mexico deal goes through for the schedule next year, one of the Richmond dates is axed. I have a feeling the schedule, I don't know when it would be. I would say it'd make more sense to have it in the spring, but I could see them saving one of the dates. The attendance was not good tonight either. I think it was a little bit better than the spring, but you got to remember the spring was also a Sunday night on Easter with rain. So I think that you'll see a pretty good crowd if they go to one date, whether or not you want that. I know Dale Jr. will be upset and be, ringing the alarm bells saying short tracks are dying and all this other stuff. But like, how many short tracks have been added the last couple of years and coming up? Even if they're not the ones that you prefer, there's still more short tracks overall on the schedule than there were like 5 to 10 years ago. But yeah. Swifty Guy for the 2 here says Dale Earnhardt is smiling from heaven right now. I'm sure he is happy for our old RC in the 3. Z06 Paul for the 2. This is exactly why I hate this format. I think you speak for a lot there, man. Bobby Blair for another 5 says Austin Dillon before that caution had a chance at gaining fans' respect to completely losing it in overtime. Again, you say you hate overtime. Football Eclipse for the 2 says that is a NASCAR Heat 5 finish and also Reddick with tears. Yeah, got another consistent finish for Tyler Reddick. He'll come home probably 3rd. I don't know where exactly. Again, we will put the official results in the comments after the stream is done and set and everything. Probably tomorrow morning, give or take. Just a Corvette guy for the 5. Karma is rough. Dale won 7 titles driving the same way. Austin just did, and look how he ended up. I mean, he won. Alex Luft for the 2 says, hi, Rhett, from me and my dog, Gordy. Well, hello, Gordy. Is that based off Jeff Gordon by chance, or just a happy coincidence? Old Rhett Butler. Well, we'll have Rhett on more. Michael Kelly Gilliam with the 5 gifted memberships. Appreciate that. Rat Cross Studio for the 10 here says NASCAR knows how to deal with right rear attack. I doubt if RCR knows how to deal with the most costly one race suspension of NASCAR history. Hamlin wins like it or lump it. I don't think they're penalizing him. I really don't. Gavin for the 10 here says, I didn't look like, I didn't look like Dillon meant, or I think he meant Ant. It says I. It didn't look like Dillon meant to wreck Hamlin to me. I think it was Hamlin running his line and Dillon trying to avoid Logano, especially when a hook like that gets you penalized. Again, I'll go back and rewatch it because it is first reaction, and I'm not going to look at my phone a bunch during a live stream with all of you guys in here. But I also think that if you win the race, NASCAR is going to be more lenient on you. Derek for the 5 says, Joey said that Austin sucks and has sucked his whole career. Hey, Prada for the 5 here says, live by the sword, die by the sword. Joey and Denny have crashed others for the win in the playoff format. Driver's reputation matters when this happens. Yeah, I see Alan Bailey. I see you in the chat. And I read that audio earlier that Jeff Gluck had tweeted out. And that's a smoking gun for me, personally. When the team is telling you that on top of the action looking exactly like that, that to me is a smoking gun. Steve O for the 5 says, should the playoffs be based on best average finish at this point? This is like a 1-16 team making the NFL playoffs. Clearly needs improvement. I just think that the top 16 guys making it in would be fine. Personally, I think we should go back to 10 if we're going to have one at all, but that's just me. I think it should be more difficult than a fluky win to get in. I mean, if you even want to put top 30 in points, that might save you. Again, he might, points-wise, just get back in the top 30 by the end of this. I'm not sure. I don't look at 32nd in points on the point sheet very often. Just Corvette guy for the 20 here says, sure would suck if someone right-hooked him just like he did to Denny, except it'll be for an all-important playoff spot, and he's gonna right-hook him at date. Oh, come on. Nah, let's not go that far with it. Andrew for the 5. Austin Dillon's superpower has been Mickey Mousing his way into wins he didn't earn. Tonight, he used the power to seal back a win that he deserves. I mean, fair enough. I mean, I do think he deserved the win, just not the way it was done, if that makes sense. Thomas for the 5 here says, before the 41 caution, I was saying this was Austin Dillon's first legit win, yet has to find controversy and put an asterisk on the win. Yeah. Alex for the 2 says, Joey, F them kids. Bubba, F them 3s. Denny Hamlin, silence. Just a Corvette guy, let's see, saying if that was Dale, that was Denny in the situation in the last lap, and got right. Let's see. Let's just chill, buddy. Rock's reviews and reactions for the 2 here says, Richmond hasn't been kind to Truex this year. No, it has not. No, it has not. Ken C42 says, pre-strikes again. Yeah, why is it always Ryan Preece in this situation? Michael Kelly Gilliam for the 2 says that Ricky wrecked the 42 or 41 because he didn't want RCR to win. I don't think that's it, but it's funny. Rat Cross Studios for the 2 says Ford and Toyota have a new mission. Strike 3. That's pretty good. A Prada for the 20 says to all the media pundits criticizing this move, this type of racing has been encouraged since 2014 at the minimum. This format encourages drivers to make these desperate moves, dump this format, and most drivers wouldn't do this. I think, honestly, though, the way that they've permanently changed the culture, I almost think the cat's out of the bag, even if you got rid of the format. Like, I still think going for wins is still really important. And for that, I think that they would probably still race this way, as much as people don't want to admit that. And listen, I'm all for getting rid of the playoff format, but I think at this point, the damage to drivers, the damage to the way drivers race each other, I think has been done. Daniel here for the 2 had said, "Where's your dog?" 2.2K at the time. We showed Rhett earlier in the stream for anyone who's looking for the pup. Chris for the 2, no suspension for LaJoie at Pocono, no suspension here. Yeah, I don't think that they're going to suspend him. Minted Cow for the 5 says Logano spun his tires near Dylan's crew and almost hit some of them, including Dylan's wife, who was holding a baby. I want to see a replay on that just before I say anything. If I don't want to say something in case it didn't happen or whatnot, but again, I will definitely look at a lot more of this before Wednesday night. We'll talk about it tomorrow on a video too. I'm going to be talking a lot about Richmond this week, I have a feeling. Jesus Christ, it reset again. Thank you guys for the support. I appreciate it a ton. Keith, a new member, I appreciate that. Kyle for the 5 here says playoffs are bringing more hate to underdog wins as these drivers take spots from more deserving drivers. I think that's an interesting way to look at it too. Underdog wins should be fun, whatever way they happen. And because the way that the system is set up, we're going to have those conversations. Trucker Dan for the 4-month member chat says Dylan should have the win taken away from him. Personally, I'd be fine with him being penalized in some way, but I don't think it's going to happen, man. Garrett Buki for the 5 says, I know we thought Dylan right rear hooked him, but Hamlin came up the track and Dylan held his line. Definitely check the replay. Again, it's just the smoking gun is the radio, man. The radio is the part for me that I'm like, that's. I get that it's not him saying that based on the way it was reported, but it's still pretty ugly. CM for 2 more super chats here says, Kenseth Revenge Part 2, Logano used a really similar move on Byron. I said a bit tonight, I don't see the move, the 3 put on the 22 as egregious per se. 4G's Racing for the 5 says, anyone who says it's okay, keep that energy when your driver gets hooked. I don't like any of the 3, but hooking needs to be banned. I agree. I don't care where it's at this point. I think NASCAR needs to just have a straight line on it. I'll tell you what, Denny's podcast is going to be a whole lot of fun. I guarantee you he's recording it tonight when he gets back to North Carolina. Immortal for the 2 says, remember Austin Dillon wrecked Eric Almirola. That's right, the Daytona 500, 2018. The outside line for 5, I'm fine with Austin Dillon winning, but no one below 30th in points should be in the playoffs. Personally, I think no one below 10th in points should be in the playoffs, but again, that's just me. Michael for the 5 here says, surprise with Hocevar tonight. Tied best career finish and a 3rd top 10 this season. Yes, Hocevar, a very quietly good night. Raced around that 10th to 15th range all night. Gets a top 10 out of it based on the way results look. So another solid run for him. Jam plays for the 2. Things are heating up in the Coca-Cola Racing family. Yeah, I'm sure the Coca-Cola Racing family reunion is going to be very interesting. Nicholas for the 5. Newman to Larson in 2014. Joey to Kenseth in 2015. Denny to Chase in 17. Harvick's attempt to KB in 20. Crap move, but this format is horrible. This format encourages it. And whether you like it or not, whether you're mad or for it, whatever, NASCAR's okay with it. That's the intent, is to get people talking. Tori for the 2. I want to see 2 tires mixed and matched. I would love that. I would definitely love that. I wonder if there's a reason testing wise maybe they didn't do it, but I'd be for trying it. And if it doesn't improve the racing, they can always just go back. Rowdy Josh Racing for the 5 says, William Afton did the same thing. I'm not doing that. No. There's a pup from Eric W for the 149. Fred Dog 81 for the 5. NBC is dumb. They couldn't understand why the 11 was getting booed in Richmond. Even the Fox guys who'd figure that out. Let's be honest, they're both bad. It is funny because when I go to Martinsville, Denny Hamlin is the most hated driver, and it's like also one of his home tracks. Eric W for the 5 says, buy Rhett a treat for me with a little poodle emoji. All right, I'll buy Rhett a treat. I'll write that down. Buy Rhett boy a treat. I'm going to the store tomorrow, so I can. Let's see. Ben Lewis for the 5 says, step aside, Michael Waltrip. Austin Dillon is now the worst driver in NASCAR. Last couple ones here. Irvin Alvarado for the 5 says, tune in to NWP podcast to unpack everything at Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time for Richmond. This race is now up there as replayable for future reference. Yeah, this is gonna be a fun week. I'm glad that we got John coming on. It's gonna be a real fun week. We got the NWP shootout tomorrow night. I'll be on IDK Players channel doing commentary for that, and the duels on Thursday. So definitely check that out. A very busy week. Gonna be a lot of fun. Heading into Michigan. This is like our little speed weeks to end the summer. I can't wait. Mickey Logano for the 5. Let's all remember that Stenhouse was the mastermind behind all of this. I love this stuff. Last 2 here from Rowdy 5442 for the 2. Another wacky finish made by Recky Spinhouse, I should say. This is gonna be such a fun week. Hey, Prada for the 5. This finish was quintessential. Brian France in his basement tonight. God, you guys are great. You guys are funny as hell. But I think that's going to do it tonight. I appreciate it a ton. We will have a video tomorrow talking probably about this. For sure about this. We're going to be live also on IDK Players YouTube channel for NWP Shootout. Be sure to check that out. Going to be a lot of fun. Going to be very interesting. iRacing event Daytona. The start of our speed week. Duels on Thursday, and NWP on my channel this Wednesday night. Be sure to check it out. Subscribe if you're new. We do this after every single race. And, man, that's a fun one. AJ Johnson for the 5 here. Team 3 could have chosen to take the L and finish with their moral code intact. Don't believe the format should be the scapegoat for behavior. We didn't see much of this before 2014, though. But thank you guys so much for coming on out. I appreciate it a ton. Go enjoy the rest of your Sunday night, and I will see you a lot this week, hopefully. Night, y'all.